Okay, here are the notes for today. We are continuing to work with rational exponents. Rational exponents are these exponents here, but they're not whole numbers. When you have a fraction, it's a rational exponent. Okay, we learned how to do this on the calculator, but from now on, we're strictly going to just focus on working with exponents. We'll use the calculator to find values. That's going to help you out. But I don't want you to use the calculator to just do the work for you. So you're going to have to show this work and show these steps. Okay, so from worksheet A and worksheet B, we learned that this rational exponent really means that it is a cubed root. It is a cubed root of 64, not a square root. This one will be a square root. We'll come back to number 2. Number 2, because it's a 1/2 of 2, you gotta remember it's a 2, it's a square root, right? But for a square root, they don't write that 2. Okay, so it's just a simple square root of 64. The cube root of 64 is different. All right, let's look at our calculator. And again, I'm going to just go over real quick on 2 different types of calculators how the keystrokes can be different, or they are different. If you have a calculator like this, even though it's the same little icon here for the nth roots, even if it's the same icon, the keystrokes are different. So for this calculator, on a cubed root, you'd put the 3 first. Then this is in yellow, so we have to see it'll do the cube root first and then 64. And then you get your answer. The answer is 4. Okay. That means that 64, well, the answer is 4. But what that means is that this 64 is the same as 4 cubed, because you found the cubed root. And you still have to the power of 1/3. See, you still have this 1/3 out here. But the cube root of 64 is 4. That's just this part. And then, like again, we're going to use exponents. Let me show you how to do that on this other calculator for a cube root of 64. On this calculator, if you have this TI-30 or Texas Instrument calculator, you would, and again, see, it's the same. It's this nth root, this one to find different nth roots. But the keystrokes are different from this one, or for this calculator, you actually put the 64 first. You type in the 64 first, then you activate this, hit the second button, hit that key there, then the 3, because it's a cubed root, then you hit equals or enter, and it tells you the answer is 4. Okay, so the cubed root of 64 is 4, which means 64 is 4 times 4 times 4. It's 4 cubed. And this is how you're going to show, using exponents, that the answer is 4. Even though the calculator is giving you the answer here, I want you to be able to do it this way. And from here, we have the situation where you have a power raised to another power. That's the power rule. And if it's a power or an exponent raised to another power or another exponent, we multiply. And when you get 3 over 1, which is this 3 times the 1 over 3, what happens here? Well, those 3's divide out. You're left with 4 to the power of 1, and the answer is 4. See, algebraically, this is the way you show the work and prove that the answer is 4, versus, well, the calculator just doing the work for you here. This is the way you're going to need to show it here for your work, so that I know you're not just using the calculator. Okay, look at number 2. We know that it's 1/2, so that's a square root. The 1/2 is your square root. The 1/2 is your, right, is your square root. And we know the answer is 8. Okay, well, the answer is 8. The square root of 64 is 8. But we're not going to do this just by using the calculator, right? All calculators have the simple square root key, right? Your simple, normal, standard square root button is this one here. Same thing on this calculator. Where's the square root button? Over here. Okay. How do we do this and show this work without just having the calculator do the work for you? Well, you understand that the answer is 8, which means that this 64 is 8 squared. 64 is 8 squared, and then this exponent, you still have it out here. 1/2. And what happens now? Well, again, we have the power rule here. Where it's a power raised to another power, those multiply, right? So that's 2 over 1 times this 1 over 2, the one on the outside. And then you can see how those divide out, right? When you multiply these divide out. You're left with 8 to the power of 1. 8 to the power of 1 is 8. Okay, so you'll be able to use your calculator to help you find these roots, but you're going to use exponents to show how they divide out or they simplify, and then you get this answer. Okay, let's look at the rest. The rest you'll see are different. They'll have a little bit more work involved. Here's number 3. Now, we want this situation like numbers 1 and 2 where we have a 1 over 3, right? The rational exponent is 1 over 3, or you want 1 over 2. Well, what do you do here when it's not a 1? This is what we learned in worksheet A and worksheet B. We're going to separate this out. We're going to split this up. We're going to split this up or separate. Okay, so 36. How do I split this 3 over 2? Remember, we want that fraction. The fraction is 1 over 2, right? Because this 2 is the denominator. And then on the outside, we're going to have the 3, which is 3 or 3 over 1. Right, I'm just splitting this fraction apart. And then I want the 1 over 2, and then the 3 is the whole number 3 over 1. Okay, well then that tells me that this inside part here is a square root of 36. Right, that 1/2 means it's a square root of 36. And I still got that right there. And the square root of 36, even though we know the answer is 6, we're going to show that this is 6 squared. The answer is 6 squared. The 36 is the 6 squared, but remember this radical, we want to use exponents. You've got to show that it's the exponents are how they're dividing out. And we still got that 3 on the outside. That you're going to leave for last. So this part, this is your calculator part that's going to help you. But 36 is 6 squared. These two divide out. This 2, right? The power rule. 2 over 1 times 1 over 2. They divide out. You're left with 6 on the outside. Six here, 6 to the power 1, you're only left with 6. 6 is the answer on the inside. And then that to the power of 3. 6 to the power of 3. We can do that on our calculator as well. We learn that. That is this button here. 6 to the power of 3, 216. Okay, number 4. Okay, so on the side over here, since this is a 4, or I'm looking at this as 16 to the power of 1/4, right? I'm separating this 5 over 4. I'm leaving the 5 out here. And this is the part you're going to use your calculator, just to tell me what number, what's the 4th root of 16? The 4th root of 16, doing your calculator. Is this the one where you put the inside number first? Yeah. The 4th root of 16 is 2, which means that 16 is 2 to the power of 4. 2 to the power of 4. And actually, you know what? We can leave this. We can leave this right here. I just needed to find what was that 4th root of 16, because now that I know it's 2 to the power of 4, I can actually leave this rational exponent. I mean, you separate it just to see this, but if I bring it back here, you'll have the power rule now, right? A power raised to a power, what happens there? These multiply. 4 over 1 times the 5 over 4. Well, the 4's divide out. And here you're left with 2 to the power of 5. 2 to the power of 5. You do that on your calculator. That's 32. Okay, so remember this part where you understand that the denominator you're looking at is a 1/4 with the 5, but really this part is the part you can use your calculator here. But you're going to show your work with exponents how it simplifies down. All the 4's divide out, you're left with 2 to the